So she wanted to be a TEDx speaker. I said, fantastic. But I want her to learn karate and also be good in swimming. I want her to win a maths Olympiad. I want her to do good in singing. And then I'm like, hold on. How old is the child? She said 6 years.
Wow.
I said, chalo shaadi ki bhi baat kare bachche ki. Homeschooling is like those EV vehicle. It is good. Nobody says no. Nobody debates it. But we are all afraid to take the leap of faith.
Just the idea that school is the only place for socializing is a very sad idea. And I say that with
telling me that, okay, you can't make friends,
so I'm going to force feed you in a group of 60 kids, and that's the only way you make friends.
Tenth is a great foundational skill board. 10th is not a reflection of what I'll do in my
future.
Life. Right. Me and my friends married on the basis of my 10th report card. Most of them will be bachelors. Putting our dreams on our kids. Just because I could not crack NEET, I want my daughter to do that. I always say both, Shaila, are milestones, not destinations. Let's say tomorrow I want to go to Pune and I have this beautiful Khandala on the way. I will sit back, I will have a Maggie, but I'll not stay there. Your mobile's hand sensitive, from Nokia to iPhones. We have changed our textbooks, their QR codes on Bal Bharti books, which is a great achievement. Thanks to the NEP, we are looking at school differently, but we're still learning the same. See, I love music, but or dancing for the matter, but I'm Sunny Deol of dancing. Please don't ask me to dance. I mean, you will cry if I dance. But if I want my daughter to dance, I'm going to put her to someone who's expert in dancing.
Right, yes.
We have been told about think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
What if there is no? Why are we still confined around the box? Throw the box away.
Right.
That is when your playground becomes larger. They say a child enters a school as a question mark, leaves the school as a period, the full stop.
Wow, that's intense.
There's an exclamation at the end of it.
Welcome to Academic Bus Cafe, where education meets innovation and meaningful conversations inspire new possibilities. Today we are delighted to host Mr. Dawood Waid, with over 16 years of experience in education. He's been a mindset coach, pedagogical consultant, author, mentor, and a homeschool parent. You've been homeschooling your children yourself. You've also been homeschooled. So how has your childhood journey shaped, this decision of homeschooling your children?
This is going to be a long journey now. I don't know about being a great advocate, but yes, an advocate for sure. I'll put it in very simple terms, Shaila, for just to get it front. Homeschooling is a great alternate way of learning. It's not the only way of learning. A lot of people, the moment we say homeschooling, say, oh, the schools must be bad. I said, no, I love the system. We've got, both of us have got great friends, school principals. We don't want to antagonize them and make Seema and all the others, Poonams and all, not invite us next time. So schools are not bad. Just that there is an option B available. Perhaps a plan B, perhaps a contingency plan, perhaps a new route can be explored there. So that's what homeschooling is about, number one. Number two, what I also feel is today the world is far more complex. We use the word VUCA all the time, volatile, uncertain.
Yeah.
And in this world, you don't do the same thing you did 15, 20 years back. So why school the same way you schooled your kids? That perhaps is maybe, more like an opening idea of what homeschooling means.
Why not continue the same way of schooling? Though we know that schools as per se are like a very structured, well constructed. There is space for children to learn. There's a system, there's a curriculum, there is syllabus. Right. Why homeschooling? Why not then choose your children to go to school, a structured school that way?
Fair enough.
Because you have those facilities around your home place, right? I'm so sure.
Everyone has. School is one thing that is constant in our feature. We've grown up. But we had great time shopping everywhere else. You would go to a regular Sabzi Mandi. Dadar is a great place. Everywhere else. Why do we go online? The same approach is what we apply to homeschooling.
There's so many myths in people's minds, and people are looking for structure, people are looking for direction, and they don't know where to go. And How do we go about? There are a lot of documents available online, and it's tiring to read all of them when you don't understand half of them. So it's like this is
It's beautiful. I mean, let me show off a little with some
Yeah,
books that I will.
please do.
No, but there is this beautiful book, I think, called The Hurried Child. And somewhere,
The Hurried Child?
The Hurried Child. We are trying to rush our kids through a lot of motions. So I had this parent come to me and she said that, sir, I want my child to, be the best in this class in a communication. I said, great. So she wanted to be a TEDx speaker. I said, fantastic. But I want her to learn karate and also be good in swimming. I want her to win a maths Olympiad. I want her to do good in singing. And then I'm like, hold on. How old is the child? She said 6 years.
Wow.
I said, chalo shaadi ki bhi baat kare bachche ki. And I'm like, why are you, I mean, of course, I'm not endorsing a lot of population out there. I said, have 5 kids.
Have 5 kids.
We are putting our dreams on our kids. Just because I could not crack NEET, I want my daughter to do that. And that's just the sad reality of today's parents. Let them be who they are. Content creators are happier and making more money than perhaps someone who's running a business out there. Why? The hurried child is whatever.
So if your child decides to become a content creator, would you let them be?
Perhaps yes. I think she'll make more money than I am. And they already are doing on Instagram reels, pouting around with. There's another book. So I said a couple of books that.
But growing up, how do you provide them that kind of element of socialization which which children would get in schools when there are competitions at certain levels, all of those things? How would you, or do you think that's even necessary?
Wonderful. I mean, see, if you are an introvert, Susan Cain has this beautiful book called Quiet, then homeschooling. I would actually endorse the other way around. For introverts, please go to social gatherings, still be yourself and don't mix, but you need people around. We are social people. We've been learning this all the time, Shaila. Just the idea that school is the only place for socializing is a very sad idea. And I say that with all certainty. You see, you are telling me that, okay, you can't make friends, so I'm going to force feed you in a group of 60 kids and that's the only way you make friends. Oh, there are maybe people outside who have more interest. There may be groups outside. I am part of a pet group. We love dogs. We are a dog family. I'm sorry for the cats, but and for all that I know, there is a garden where they only, so talk us about all the breeds and I'll tell you about the breeds. Now that's a part of me. Me and my girls go around and my wife is at an arm's distance. That's the only time, I'm safe from her. But that's the idea. Homeschoolers are reachable. We reach out. So that's one part. Do not expect our kids, the millennials, the Gen Zs and the Alphas are coming up, to only socialize in one way. Today they are socializing communities online. They play a Fortnite or the Age of Empire and they're talking to each other. And they have better bonding. There is this beautiful book called The New Childhood. It says that forget anything online that we have heard. The sand play that we did as kids, today the sand play is online. So that's another socializing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there is no one definition of socializing.
Like I actually said, and I rightly said, you are really an advocate of homeschooling and you really have it very clear in your head, okay? Tell us something about how your childhood journey has shaped, this entire passion that with which you advocate homeschooling.
So my dad is a retired merchant navy captain. So, literally, I've been to all cities across in India, all ports rather. वो कहते हैं ना घाट घाट का पानी पिया. I've done that. A proper Kendra Vidyalaya. When I was wearing my blues, my wife said, "You look like in a school uniform." So that reminds me, I'm like so proud and I love my school. But yes, I had friends across because we kept moving. And one of the things that shapes us as adults is how our schooling was.
Absolutely, yes. I agree with this.
Yes, we all are products of what we did, what we did not do, how we were bullied, how we had friends. All of it shaped us. Schooling has an impact on us.
But you did go to a school, right? I mean, you weren't homeschooled as such.
The idea of homeschooling as a term is very new. Yeah? So perhaps even though we would have studied, so that time those terms do not exist. So when I had a gap year, I learned on my own. But yes, it was a system that we followed. Unlike today, where I think we are more adventurous, a little bit of streak of rebellion. COVID has taught us that classrooms need not be confined into, those walls. That is a homeschooling concept that I'm advocating now.
So tell us in detail about your structure. How do you homeschool your girls and do you have a set curriculum they're definitely not of the same age.
Right.
Then how do you have a curriculum for each one of them? How do you decide all of
Fair
that?
enough. So there's a very interesting story, Shaila, about schooling itself. And this is my journey. So again, I say with all due respect to my school friends and all. So I was a director of a very reputed, CBSE school for a couple of years. And I enter this school as a director. You have some kind of policies in mind. You have a say. And the first thing I noticed is there's this huge word on the library walls. And you and I both know what we're talking about. This is what we're speaking about, right? The words silence.
Silence.
And I am like, isn't library the place for conversations?
Conversations.
How are you trying to, it is okay. There is one thing to be quiet, but silence is what I mean is don't talk. No, it's like we're on a podcast and you're looking at it. You're looking wonderful, but you're not here for me to just admire. I want to talk about things that are there in you, the ideas you got. So I started talking about all of these, remove the board of silence, and I wasn't the most liked person. Of course, I still have good friends, Archana, Vandana, they're lovely, school heads.
You were the rebel.
I was
actually,
the rebel.
The rebel director.
Ran around the school. We had a World War II entire, the Allies versus Axis war in the library.
Wow.
And I was privileged to have these.
You created chaos in the library.
That's the whole idea. And this is the beauty of it. We live in Mumbai, right? Among chaos is why we find our solace.
In the midst of chaos, you find stories.
Wow.
You find connections, basically. That is how we are, we are raised in Mumbai. And we find connections, as you said.
Yeah, wonderful. You speak very deep and profound. Right. So there was this amazing lesson I learned from Professor Rajaram at IIT, and he said something that's very unique. He said there is a technology we use in school called the two-part technology. And we're like, wow, there must be something very important he's talking about, a professor from. He says two-part is, two-part, Priya two-part, Safia two-part, Kunal two-part, Vivek two-part. And like, okay, and strange enough, Shaila, all of us relate to it. Kids today relate to it. I call myself Doordarshan ages. I relate to it, you relate to it. And somehow schooling systems haven't changed. This is the sad part of what we're saying. Your mobiles, handsets have changed from Nokia to iPhones. We have changed our textbooks. There are QR codes on Bal Bharti books, which is a great achievement. Thanks to the NEP, we are looking at school differently, but we're still learning the same way.
So what do you mean by two-part? As in, you just study and you don't think beyond. Is it what it is?
It is.
Does it like directly relate to rote learning? two-part, bas. Tu yaad kar or
Yes,
two-part.
yes.
Yeah, and just pad and go and give your exam. That's how it is. So there's just learning that's going to happen.
Yes.
There's a syllabus you have to learn, and there's nothing that you think beyond. There's no research you do beyond that. There's no experiment or experiential learning beyond that.
One of the primary reasons people don't want to homeschool, or rather look for an alternate system, is the unknown is always dangerous.
Yeah.
We aren't sure. I'll give you an example, a very practical example. None of us can sit and debate that EV vehicles are the norm. They are better for the environment. They're better for the roads. They're better for us.
Right.
Economically, on my pocket. How many of us shift to an EV vehicle?
Oh, we are so scared. It's just too risky.
Where would you
and
get
also
the
because
next-
it is like minority,
Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
and it's just upcoming. We are scared to kind of experiment.
It is like those, Mediterranean keto diets, all good, looks nice, but
Yeah.
let the people in Bandra do it. I'll stick to my dal chawal and roti. Homeschooling is like those EV vehicle. It is good. Nobody says no, nobody debates it, but we are all afraid to take the leap of faith.
Yeah.
And this is somewhere I'm trying to break the stereotypes. I'm not asking parents to go and homeschool their kids.
Yeah.
Let the schools exist and they're doing great job. But somewhere, if your child is not fitting in the system, Malcolm Gladwell talks about this idea called outliers. Maybe your child is talented for the school, perhaps a prodigy, perhaps someone who is not fitting in the system which says social studies and maths go hand in hand. Maybe he's just a genius whose music is the call. That is when homeschooling comes into it. That is when you are brave enough to say, if this system doesn't work, why not try a different system?
So what is then? Just give us a structure of the framework of homeschooling.
I find it sometimes people find me very confusing. They said, why aren't you coming and telling homeschooling ABC? I said, homeschooling by the very definition, Shaila, is not something you define. your version of homeschooling will be so different from mine, and that is what makes it beautiful.
Okay.
John Holt, the father of unschooling, the word he coined,
Uh-huh.
he said something that, let's say I want to travel, and you see me,
Right.
6 months I do vacation with my girls, and the other 6 months I want solo vacations. I don't know what.
So you're all the time
I'm
traveling.
traveling all the time. World schooling is my definition of homeschooling, and that exists. So you can't say, oh, that's not homeschooling. Yet I run an online school, which is where I find that I can't be my child's math, science, English, Hindi teacher.
Right.
I need experienced teachers, but at the comfort of a laptop. That's also the version of homeschooling. You might come and say, hold on, I'm going to take my kids to a farm and we do nothing. There is no routine, but that's also an idea for homeschooling. So the idea of homeschooling is it doesn't define into a framework. Yes, I'll still give a framework, but just because this whole thing, we have been told about think outside the box, right?
Yeah.
What if there is no box? Why are we still confined around the box? Throw the box away.
Right.
That is when your playground becomes larger. This is what homeschooling to me is.
So what are the books that you give your children to learn or to read or to explore?
Oh, start with Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. Anne Rand is good. Catch It in the Rye. I mean, the point is, it could be a Harry Potter or Geronimo Stilton. As long as they're reading, that makes us very proud.
Right, but then how do they know to read unless they know the ABC?
Fair enough, yes.
So how do they know, they calculate if they do not know the math? Like, so, we would like to know if you're giving us, definitely
Yes,
you have
yes.
fabulous ideas about homeschooling, and you gave us the clarity that, homeschooling is what you think it is, how you want to carry it forward.
Yes.
There are certain skills that children need to know for everyday life.
True.
When did you start with all of those?
Okay, so before I experiment on my girls, who are my guinea pigs, and actually I had literally the guineas at home. We raised them, and they had babies, and that's what my kids are now. But I also understand we need some structure, some framework, or some kind of a parameter I validate myself. So here is what I do personally, and in the Golden Sparrow, we follow the Cambridge pedagogy. So Cambridge has this beautiful outcomes.
Ask me about it.
Yes,
I love the Cambridge curriculum.
I am a die-hard Cambridge outcome fan. So you get this level 1s and level 2s, and you can map yourself saying, okay, let me go and see a level 3. Is it corresponding to the rule of thumb is, if my child is, 10 years, I should look at a 5th grade curriculum that maps up. And that's not the only curriculum. This is what I endorse.
Yeah.
I also am a big fan of the open schooling. So you go to the NIOS website.
Yeah.
We will talk about that perhaps. There is also a framework. NCERT has a great framework. So you could go back and choose these and say, okay, let me do an apple to apple comparison. My son in grade 5 should know X amount of maths. And maybe then you do reverse engineering.
Correct. Okay, and that's also a fine way of looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
just, these are like parameters for you to cross-check and see whether, my child knows at this level.
Yes.
And then you provide them that kind of tuition or that kind of expertise.
Yes.
Yeah, because...
And Shaila, just one very interesting concept I always tell people, I don't think tuitions are bad. A lot of us have got this hate-love relationship. I still put my child in a tuition, but outside in the kitty party, tuitions. And I say, no, don't be such, See, I love music, but or dancing for the matter, but I'm Sunny Deol of dancing. Please don't ask me to dance. I mean, you will cry if I dance. But if I want my daughter to dance, I'm going to put her to someone who's expert in dancing.
Right, yes.
So that is tuition.
Correct.
I don't know Mandarin, but I want my daughter, I've done a lot of work as a patent lawyer in Germany. And my eldest, she's pro-German. I can't teach her German. So there's a tuition for German. The same way there's a tuition for maths and science, and it is not bad.
Are there groups of parents who are, homeschoolers, and do you guys meet and do you all discuss these things? I'd like to know something.
So I was recently, a month back in Goa.
Yeah.
So there's an entire group of homeschoolers who invited me. And, there are these cobwebs that we have got, the stereotypes. And I found an entire community thriving around homeschooling. So there's a mother, this boy Nathan, who just flew back from Canada, years living in a new country, which is very organized homeschooling country, coming back, the shock of having no such community. And it is one mother's initiative who got the people together. So I run one of the largest homeschooling group, both online and WhatsApp, and perhaps hopefully in these micro programs that I do. And homeschoolers, by the very nature, very fiercely independent. So I only do firefighting sometimes on the WhatsApp group where somebody puts an idea, it's very revolting, very dangerous. I say, this is what makes you homeschooling. You are bold enough. You know, in IB there is a learner profile called risk taker.
Risk
I
taker.
think that's
Yes.
what it defines homeschoolers.
Okay. Absolutely. Like breaking away from what is traditional and doing something, it's the road that's not taken.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Robert Frost will be happy. Finally, somebody's putting his poem to test.
Yeah, and I think all the homeschoolers, the parents who decided to homeschool their children,
Yes.
are the ones who really taken that road, and they're very proud, because I hear a lot of parents who homeschool their child and their children, and they're very proud about their decision. The children are also independent. They're very happy.
Right.
And they're successful in whichever fields they have taken so far. What about like competitions that we have in class? There are small things that matter. Public speaking skills. In a group of 20 students, when a child chooses to speak or give out an answer, or raises her hand or his hand, that's a little amount of confidence they get,
Right.
because they can speak. They can voice out their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. If they voice their opinion, somebody is laughing at them, and that should be okay. They'll know how to become brazen. They know how to face these kind of little, smirking, jeering from their friends. And that also gives them some amount of social skills. Do you think that these things are missed by homeschoolers,
Very
to an
lovely,
extent?
And I think you just raised some very relevant thing that a parent might be thinking. So allow me to take this detour and explain this in two versions. One is version I grew up with, and one is a current version that we could solve here. So one of the aspect that we're looking at is homeschoolers, despite being in a class of 60, it's those few privileged first benchers who only get the answers. You look like the kind of student that always, and we hated this kind of girls there, that you had all the answers ready, your homework was done, and we would be almost anonymous in a class.
Yeah.
I don't want this to happen. Homeschooling, 60 is a large number. I'm not blaming.
And I'm referring to a number kind of 20. Like
20
nowadays we have
yes,
students.
we have got lovely
we have
privilege.
classrooms with 20 students also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now what happens is, let's say, I always say that your child needs some kind of a club.
Correct.
Homeschoolers should not live, you're not an Amish community. So now what I'm trying to conclude is, perhaps we have not seen other models. If you don't know what it is, did you even miss it? Those who have not experienced the joy of undefined education have not experienced the beauty of what homeschooling brings. Part one. Part two, Shaila, is today the world is far more democratic than it was. So now, with a flatter organization, we've got 3 avenues. There is a Toastmasters club. Your child is not getting a speaking opportunity is something, my lack of awareness. It's not the lack of opportunities. As they say, there are no ugly women, there are only lazy ones. This is
Does that apply to men as well?
men are all ugly. Don't worry, we don't take so that's at least we'll be athletic. The opportunities are there. I am a big fan of these mock summits, when you go and you perform and the committees, which is where the hub idea comes in. Let's say you're a group of homeschoolers somewhere living in Borivali. Come together, find out each other, make a small trust or an organization, and that itself is your legitimate entry into these programs.
Homeschoolers are the ones who know how to grab every opportunity that comes their way, because that's one thing that can actually help them grow. Right. So every opportunity that is available, they look for those opportunities and they grow.
And there are some
then how do you define the entry exit point, like for colleges? How does that work?
So now this is where we come to the accreditation, the legal part of homeschoolers. One reason why people don't want to change school is the fear of boards.
Correct. You're right.
I always say boards, Shaila, are milestones, not destinations. Let's say tomorrow I want to go to Pune and I have this beautiful Khandala on the way. I will sit back, I will have a Maggie, but I'll not stay there. Right? That's the problem. Our boards are somehow making us afraid to take that journey that we always wanted to. 10th is a great foundational skill board, but 10th is not a reflection of what I'll do in my
future.
Life. Right? If me and my friends had to get married on the basis of my 10th report card, most of us would be bachelors. So it's not an indication of what we did.
Right.
We did what we did, but then we moved ahead. And 12th was a career it was a stream and a skill building thing. And post 12 is what the careers happen. I always say career counseling is a misnomer because you don't do career counseling. Some of us don't know what our careers are right now. I'm a lawyer who turned into an educator. At 40, we did the pivot.
We're still deciding.
We're still deciding.
We're still looking for something new.
Can I open a boutique? A school teacher tells me, I said, what's waiting? So now the parents need to understand there is a choice. And here is this is perhaps the most important part of what we're discussing. If parents want to know, people are aware now. And that's what advocacy is all about. What I do is point number one, there is a system called open schooling.
Yeah.
NIOS. I don't call it NIOS. I had a small reel that please don't call NIOS NIOS the way you don't call CBSE Sub-C, right? It is not a Sub-C market. Call it the way it is. National Institute of Open Schooling. It's an accredited Ministry of Education, HRD earlier, Government of India board. Nobody can deny a child the right of further education after you are an NIOS student. Now, NIOS is the world's largest open schooling body. India is tier 1 India. Veer Das says about 2 Indias. He got into trouble.
Yes.
But that's true. The problem with NIOS is because it's catering to a large audience, what is happening in a metro like Mumbai may be different than in a little, Surat is equally competent, but a little different mindset. But if you all the way go to Siliguri, it is a completely different mindset. NIOS caters to all of it. It is a valid board. It is as legal as CBSE.
Okay.
Professor Rajaram, ex-NCRT, one of the heroes I think who credited, I credit for learning this, or Jaspreet Kaur, she runs an NIS center in Delhi, well, Amrit Miswani. They are some amazing people and generous, selfless people. They taught me what I am today. And so NCRT is the same publishing that CBSE uses and NIS uses.
Oh.
So you are clear on that. NIS is a tough board if you take a maths and science. Number one. Number two, the certificate issued are by the government. So you can walk into a college. I've got NIS student get into Jai Hind or a KC or a Sidnam or SIAS where my daughter is. And all of them are very welcoming colleges and schools which have accepted these students. An NIS student, sorry, I'm just extending this. A 10th NIS student can very well get into, and I've got these students, the Golden Sparrow students, into an IBDP program.
Oh.
And they're competing very well into a CBSE program, into a state board. So any board they can walk into. After college, they can get into any competitive exam. 5 years back or 8 years back, there was a problem. The NIS student could not write NEET.
Okay.
It was no use anyway. If you write NEET, you have to write again. Very sarcastic, but very sad.
Oh my God.
But
say that again.
Oh goodness. The NEET has become like a farce in what has happened right now, and it's a sad part of what's happening. I would rather not write and go through the trouble. The mental counselors, there is a research that says last 1 month, counselors' fees doubled. The student queuing up because you see mental challenge.
Yeah.
Save your child this trouble and use a board that fits the child.
So you're trying to say that through NIS also NIOS.
Yes.
Students who have passed through NIOS
Can write.
They can write NEET.
All competitive exams.
All competitive exams.
So you can, there is a student who scored plus 600 in the 720 NEET mark. So these are NIOS students. IIT JEE exams. So they can write IIT JEE exam. They write all competitive exams. CLATs, the one that you do for law, architect. So no one's stopping you from writing an NIS exam.
Okay. No, I'm just wondering, I mean, from what I had heard about open school is NIOS is the same as open school?
Yes, open schooling is the term you use generally.
So maybe it was there in the yesteryears and now everyone knows it as NIOS.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So you have the facility of appearing for 2 subjects every year, and that kind of a flexibility is available.
True.
And we always thought that NIOS was for students who are not able to cope up with education, with their studies. So it was a facility provided by the government. And therefore it was, I think, always taboo, or I don't know what exactly people always had the impression. For example, if someone goes for counseling, they say that you have mental illness and that becomes a taboo. Similar to NIOS, if you're going to NIOS, maybe you have some learning disability or difficulty and that is why you're there. But I think that You've given us a very different perspective about how NIOS can be a huge opportunity that people can grab.
Allow me to elaborate. I love this
Yeah.
no filter, podcast, Shaila. You don't mince your words. I like the idea, and you're right. So I'm embarrassed to say that as an educator, I was also biased. So many of our friends in the education fraternity, the NIS तो वो spectrum बच्चों के लिए.
Right.
It is for those kids with ADHDs and some of these special kids that we have. Or if you are a student who failed X subject, NIS is a refuge, and it's not denying it. It is all, see, the problem is, Professor Rajaram taught me this and I love to state. He says, have you gone to Nagpur? Because when I asked him, sir, NIS, so it's not for regular kids. And sad part is my wife, Shazia, she's a special educator. And she would tell me, explore NIOS, and Ghar ki murgi hai wo. Please don't. Hope Shazia doesn't see this part of it. And I would say, no, Shaz, this is not for the kids we are catering. I want very bright. I want kids to explore space. NIS is not for them. Then it took a professor to tell me, okay, have you gone to Nagpur, young man? And hopefully I call myself a young man at least 10 years back. I said, yes, sir. He said, how do you go to Nagpur? I said, I take a Duronto. Said, is there only way to go to Nagpur? I said, of course not. I can fly down, I can drive, I can take a different, I can take a general malgadi.
Yeah.
He said, that's the problem. You only know one route to go through. NIS is one of the routes. You can take an IG, IB, State Board, CBSE, ICSE, EdXL. You haven't chosen the right transportation or the means here. And that is where it changed the entire perspective. NIOS allows that flexibility for any kind of a learner. If you are a special learner, you can apply to the RCI, Rehabilitation Council of India, get some of the certifications. You can have a script which is written by somebody else. You can have help. You can have extra time. So that's a facility available. It's also available in CBSE, but NIS is more upfront about it. You are a weaker student, you can choose a different cocktail of subjects. And I'll explain the subject part of it. But if a child wants to explore, I have students now who are doing NEET, and they said, oh, I don't have time for college. And there's this whole idea of integrated, where you pay but you don't go to the college. I said, why don't you take an NIOS which allows you to write 6 subjects, assuming you take 6, but 5 is minimum, and you can break it down 2 at a time. There is no pressure. Moment I clear a subject mentally, I know I've cleared the 60% that cutoff that I require, and I can take a combination of English and physics. Next semester, I take up, say, chemistry and psychology.
Within a duration of 6 months?
2 years. No. From 10 to 12, when they're doing their, competitive examination, NIS is a big relief for these students, and they're very bright students. Few years back, one of the toppers from Tamil Nadu, the JEE topper, was an NIOS student. So there is your credibility, there is your testimonial.
Yeah. I mean, what's the guideline for these things?
So you're more competent than I am, but since I'm rattling off, except for IB and CBSE, which do not allow, and ICSE for that matter, do not allow private candidates. So these are 3 boards where you have failed in the board to reappear. There is an absolute amazing private candidate option in IGCSE, which is a Cambridge, right? At IG level and AS and A levels. Earlier, there was this whole challenge of writing private candidates, and AIU would not accept it. Hopefully, we're overcoming, because Cambridge is a very smart board. Remember a few years back, there was a problem with English as secondary language. And you would go and they'll say, the first language kya hai? I said, no, English. Then they're smart enough, and that's why I like the board, which is a smart board to say, okay, we'll call it global English. So now the private candidate should be solved. You can write Form 17E in Maharashtra and become a state candidate. So EdXL is another option for homeschoolers. So while I endorse NIOS, it's not the only way out. There are multiple boards which gives you a homeschooler a board to write exams.
So if we have to literally count, it is the IG curriculum, IG board. CAIE board that gives you the opportunity. We have the state board.
Yes.
And we have the NIOS.
Right. And EdXL.
Okay. These 4 boards that
there is an Ontario Canadian curriculum in Australia, but now very popular in India.
Okay, fine. So the ones that we probably in India can.
So you have 4 options still?
4, we have 4 options. And then we have a whole lot of options exploring the world while we homeschool.
I have got some great friends. So I mentioned, some people who have learned. June Mendes, Sandhya Viswas. So June is in Pune, Sandhya is in Bangalore. And, if they're hearing it, they are some amazing people. You meet them, their kids have done open schooling, they've done NIOS, and today they are state champions in sports. Some of them are doing badminton, some of them are abroad, one of them either in some European country. thriving, doing very well. So these are the beacons I look for. We need a little hope.
Right.
Okay, after NIS, also your child is smart enough, you have the right roots, you can go anywhere.
Then what is better? Is homeschooling better or online schooling? Because online schooling still has some structure. I don't know why I'm still
Yes,
harping
yes.
upon structure, because maybe we are not used to thinking like the way you think, because it's always a framework or
Yes.
structure or guideline is always helps us to know where we are moving.
Yes.
So what do
No,
you think is
absolutely.
better?
Just one advice: start watching more animes. So you think you become younger. Right? Listen to Luffy's and Naruto's and all of those demon
Okay.
slayers. Just that it's not the way. They thrive in chaos. They thrive in what appears to us unstructured. They thrive this way. So the way you have Cambridge checkpoints, right? So you have checkpoint at 3,
Right.
5, and 8.
Yeah.
NIOS also has checkpoints.
Okay.
It is called OB, Open Basic Education. So what NIS says is, hold on, you want a validation, come back. It's very inexpensive examination. You write an examination through a local AA center, which is a study center in your city, and NIS has centers literally in every town, city, district of India.
That's fantastic. So tell us something about the Golden Sparrow Hub.
Wow. This is very close to my heart. So Golden Sparrow basically, translated into Sone ki Chiriya. Growing up, we saw a lot of sparrows around. I grew up in different parts, and yet I had sparrows everywhere following us. So Golden Sparrow is an idea that can alternate schooling also be structured. While I love the idea of being rebel but can I be rebel with a purpose and not losing a cause? So Golden Sparrow education is the parent body, and there are two models around that we work. One is the online homeschooling model. Now, a lot of people ask that, okay, why we're online? What about the eyes? What about the screen time? See, there is a difference between asynchronous learning where you're watching a reel on Instagram and you're watching very pixelated animation movie, and a live program where you're actually learning. Sometimes it's only auditory.
Okay.
So this is a structured program where a parent who wishes to homeschool. So I'll give you examples. There are parents whose children are into sports or music. They don't have time for a 8-hour or a 7-hour school with the bus going and coming up. There are parents with children who have health issues. Delhi is a prime example with the smog and everything around. So these are parents who opt for an online, or people just like us who decide, can I have child studying within my confines of a home and pursue many other things, art, language, learning. So the online schooling model, Shaila, is a boon for parents like me and others.
So what age group, like what level students do you have? Like do you have students from grade 1 onwards, grade 1 to 10?
Yes.
Okay.
Although it's a K-12 school, and people are, okay, what is the primary kid doing? I said, see, there were incidents of a child being beaten or unfortunate, unhygienic preschools. But in Bombay, we are so privileged. There's some great preschools. Some of our friends are running preschools and we know them. But there may not be the case. You don't find a great phonics teacher somewhere, say in Vijayawada in Andhra.
Right.
For them, even a pre-primary online is a great relief. Or for the class of parent who's working and there's only grandmother or grandparents at home, an online school becomes a great relief. All you need to is buy a great system, a tab, a laptop, noise cancellation earphone, and the child is learning. The online per model is only 4 days a week. It's just 2.5 hours for the younger kids, it's 3 hours for the older ones, and yet you cover subjects like English, math, science, the regular ones. There is public speaking, there is SDG goals. I'm a big proponent of sustainable development goals. There is life skills, that is the project I work under Skill India in IIT. So all of this is at the benefit of a click. And remember what I said in the beginning, homeschooling is not my road in the highway, whatever my way or the highway thing. The online is one more extension of this, also could be homeschooling. I'll give a classic case study of this girl, Sarah. Sarah is now selected for Mumbai under 16 girls team. And I told the father, don't pay me the fees. Once she gets into the women's IPL, WPL, I will actually, I'll do the royalty and I'll be a millionaire by then. Now this child has to go to practice at 6. She comes back exhausted at 9. Schooling is not meant for. Online schooling is where she doesn't miss out on the academics. I told the father that tomorrow Sarah gets a man of the match. Let her present her thank you speech in great conviction and good language. So this is what
And how does your online school work when you're traveling?
Oh, I could-
365 days
that's the
of the
beauty
year.
of online school, right? I think I'm selfish that I could travel and I could very well be in the Gir forest the other day or go to Vietnam and my online school doesn't stop.
Wherever you get the range, the network.
Absolutely, yes. So I'll make sure I go to. So all you need is a good Wi-Fi.
I think with this we end with whatever we had to talk about. It was such a lovely conversation with you,
pleasure.
Mr. Daud. And it was such a pleasure hearing you and knowing those details about homeschooling, the perspective that you gave us, the myths that you actually cracked, and helped us to understand. So I'm really grateful that you've given us your time. Thank you so much.